Welcome to the instructional video on the 2018/2019 Bessacar 512. So we'll start around the outside controls and then we'll move on to the inside. So if we start with the cab, to release the bonnet on these, it's just this catch here. While we're here, I'll just show you where the blinds are. So if you pinch these together here, this is your darkening blinds for evening. They just draw together and there's a magnetic strip across there, and then they just clip back in. So that's the same on the corresponding side on the driver's side. The windscreen side of things, again, just pinch those together like that and then draw that towards the centre. That little piece there makes way for the arm of the reversing camera monitor, and then you draw those together and they sit in the middle and join together with a magnetic strip on the corresponding side on the driver's side there. Just make sure this goes back fully and they're clipped in position, because otherwise you'll go around the corner and if they're not clipped in, these can start to slide across, obstructing your vision while you're driving. Just while we're here in the cab area, on this pillar is your tyre pressures. Refer to the tyre though, because the tyre pressures are actually on the tyre on this model, because it's been fitted with specialist camper tyres that have reinforced sidewalls. So just refer to the tyre for your tyre pressures. In the door pocket we have the repair kit, should you be unlucky enough to get a puncture. That's where that's stored. So that's the pump, and it's got the repair solution in there to repair a puncture. So now that we've released the bonnet catch, just underneath here is the release for it. Underneath the bonnet, the basic controls are, if you ever need to jump start this vehicle, the positive side is that little tab there, so you put the red cable onto that one and the negative side onto this here. So working from left to right, you've got the washer fluid fill, just in there, coolant, brake fluid, oil fill, dipstick, and as I say, that your jump start is just here. It's got a protective flap on it. Sometimes you need to put a little key into there to get that off, but it's loose as it is now. So there the fluid fills underneath the bonnet. Okay, so we'll walk our way around the outside controls. Just next to the passenger door, you've got your diesel fill. You'll need your ignition key to fill that up, so remember it's on the passenger side. Next to that we've got the where the gas bottles are housed. So you put it'll take two 6-kilogram propane bottles, so they sit in here and these straps go around the bottle itself to keep those in position. So you've got 2 bottles. This is the gas regulator valve, so that regulates the pressure that's coming into the vehicle. You need 2 pigtails on this one, so you've got one pigtail coming off here, which is a flexible hose that goes in directly into the bottle, and another one here. We've got those in the shop, so they're just the flexible hoses that come off that feed the gas into the vehicle. That regulates the pressure. This is what's called a crash valve, so it senses if there's an impact and it'll switch then off the supply of gas into the vehicle. So when you first connect to gas, you've got to push that valve in, and that you'll probably hear it make a slight hissing noise, and then that's you've got your supply of gas into the vehicle. And this here will control which bottle you want the gas to come from. So you can see that turns over. So when one bottle is empty, you can turn it over to the other side. So up from that, then we've got the awning. There is a separate video on how to operate awnings, but you'll need the winder for that. Usually housed in the wardrobe or underneath the seats. It's got that type of end on it, and you just push that into there, turn it ever so slightly, quarter of a turn, and that keeps it in position. So that is going into there like a key. Turn that round and it'll allow you to hang the pole like that, and then you're just winding that, and that'll extend the awning out. But there is a separate video on how to use awnings. Moving on from that, we've got the vents for the fridge. So what it does is it draws cool air in at the bottom, expels it at the top. So you just need to make sure these are kept free of debris, and in hot weather make sure that you've not got the covers on. Inside the vehicle there's some rectangular plastic white covers that go over here as for winter protection. So when you're travelling, you've not got debris coming in, and obviously it's slightly weatherproof them, so they're just covers for that. For the fridge to work properly, it's got to be ventilated. So as I say, it draws cool air in there and expels its warm air at the top. Those covers need to be off. Moving on from that, we've got the external mains socket, so you can plug into the main supply of the vehicle. So around the other side, we've got the mains coming in. This is mains coming out. So if you're sitting outside your motorhome and you're in warm weather, you want to watch television outside, or any mains appliance, that's what that socket is for. Next one along is an external gas supply. So if you had an external heater or an external barbecue, then you can plug it into the gas supply. So you've got your gas bottles just there. You can draw that gas through to the outside of your motorhome. There's just a bayonet fitting which is required, which we've got in the shop. You just push that into there, and then you've got mains coming out. You've got mains gas coming out of your vehicle. To release that little fitment that pushes into there, you're just pushing this collar back here, and that will release the fitting out of that socket. So it's basically just a piece of brass tubing which goes into there, and then on the end of that you've got your flexible gas hose coming off to, let's say, a barbecue that was here. So it's just a push fitting, and to release it you're pressing this collar back to release it. On the back of this motorhome, it has 2 lenses for the camera, which we showed you where the blinds were. So that they're fed into the lens. Those lenses are fed into the monitor that is on the front of the vehicle. So one points down, one points backwards. So you can alternate between those two. When you select reverse, it usually goes into the one that points downwards, and then you can see the bumper of the vehicle as you're reversing. So working our way around then towards the other side of the motorhome, this is where the waste water is drained from, and there's a valve inside to release that, which I'll show you. So there's a switch inside that operates this valve to get rid of the wastewater. Above that we've got the toilet waste. So there's an indication inside on the toilet itself to tell you when that's full and needs emptying. To empty that, you're opening this door. I'll just open the door and show you how to draw the cassette out. So to take that out, you pull this lever up here and then draw this cassette out. So this is the cassette that receives the toilet waste, so it's directly connected to the underside of the toilet. To drain that down, you unscrew the cap off the end, turn it upside down like that, and then pour the liquid away. As you're doing so, press this button in here. It lets air in here as the liquid is pouring out of that side. This requires the chemical to break the solids down and get rid of the smells. In order to fill it, you slide that back, and this valve here is opened like that. So you pour the required amount of chemical into there, and then a little bit of water into the bottom, and then that's ready to use again. When you empty it, you can fill this back up full with just fresh water, swill it around, and then empty it again so that it's just cleaned it out, and then add the chemical with just a little bit of water into the bottom. Make sure that that's this way around again, otherwise you won't get the cassette back into the motorhome, and slide this back into position. Put this valve back like that, put the funnel back rather. When you're carrying it to the waste point, it does have a handle and wheels just to make it easier to get over to the waste disposal point. you push that back in, and then this just slides back into position like that. Next to that, we have an external shower point. I'm not sure whether I saw the actual hose for this, but there's an attachment that clips onto that, and then there's a hose that comes off with a trigger on the end, and then you've got an external shower to shower off dirty boots, and dog owners use that as well to clean off the dogs. But I'm not sure where the hose is for that. I'll just see if I can grab you one of those. This is the chimney for the boiler. So when the boiler's running on gas or indeed electric, this is where it vents. So if it's running on gas in particular, you'll get steam rising from this, from the burning of the gas. It's not, nothing to worry about. You'll see it more in cold weather, and it'll be rising up, but that needs to be kept free of debris. So yeah, that's just the vent for the boiler. Here we have where the mains cable goes into the side of the vehicle. It comes with a mains cable. I'll just show you how that slides in. So you're lifting up this lid here like that. Lift up the lid, slide that in, and push it on like that. So that's where your mains supply comes into the motorhome, and then the other end goes off onto the site supply, and again that just pushes onto the other end of the site. Next to the main supply, which I showed you there, is just a storage locker that goes onto the inside. Underneath that there's another storage locker that's just in the skirt of the motorhome, so that doesn't go onto the inside. Next to that we have the water fill, so just a hose pipe straight into that. Put the hose pipe into it just as you would fuel. So putting the hose pipe into there, just fill it until it pours out of the motorhome, and then you know that it's full. The little nozzle that's above that is a 12 volt supply, and there's a little pump in here that'll plug, so that end will plug into there, into that one. And then if you had a barrel of water or any receptacle or vessel of water on the floor, you can submerge that pump into it, and then the other end goes into here, so it's pumping the water from a container of water onto the floor into your main tank. I wouldn't do that. I would just drive over to where the tap is, fill it, and then you're good to go. You've got a full tank of water then. Okay, so now we're inside the vehicle. So this is the main entrance door here, so these are the control panels that are just over that door. To empty the fresh water tank, you press that button there, and you'll hear a valve open, and that will release all the water out of the fresh water tank. It's important that you do that in winter conditions, because if water's left in the tank, it can freeze and it will damage the tank. Same again for your wastewater. You can hear a little motor move and it'll open up the valve and let all the wastewater out of the wastewater tank. So they're open in the down position now. Next to that we've got the control panel. So what this is doing is switching your lights on. You can select your dimmer level there. You can dim the lights, which is quite nice. That switches your lights on and off. Sorry, that's your night light, that top one there. That switches your water pump on, so that's telling the pump to run, which is in or around the tank. So when you fill up your fresh water tank, you need that to be switched on in order to get water from your taps. When you first put water into the tank, you've got air in the pipes that are leading from the water tank to the taps. So what you need to do is switch that on, and then open up your tap in here, also in the washroom, and switch it to cold, lift the tap up, wait until you're getting a pure flow of water coming out of the tap. You know then that the air has been displaced out of the taps and you get your pipe work is full of water. Do the same on the hot side. So what that'll do is it'll pump from the tank all the way through all the pipes, fill up the boiler, and then it'll eventually come out of your tap. So you need to wait until you're getting a pure flow of water from this tap and the bathroom tap as well. So that's the water pump, and you know that's switched on because you can see it with a blue light there. This control panel, it'll tell you various information. So if you scroll through up and down here, so you've got internal temperature. You can set the limit that you want on the ampage. So if you're on a low ampage site, it will then not exceed that ampage. So some sites abroad, you know, if they're not on 13 amps, if you're running the microwave, you're running a hairdryer, etc., it can blow the fuse on the site. So that's what that's for. Tank heaters, you can switch those on and off. So in really cold weather, you can switch it on a heater that will prevent the tanks from freezing, so your freshwater and wastewater tank. You can select which battery you want to use. So there we're selecting vehicle battery, and we're back on leisure battery. So you've got a leisure battery and a vehicle battery. Don't discharge your vehicle battery for obvious reasons. If you completely flatten your engine battery, then you won't be able to start the engine. So you want it on leisure battery most of the time, and then it's only really for emergencies if you wanted to use your engine battery. However, if you select vehicle battery and it's plugged in, it will charge the vehicle battery. So if you ever needed to charge your vehicle battery. That's telling you about your solar panel. So it's receiving 1.1 amps. Vehicle battery is in good condition. Leisure battery, it's saying poor condition, but we've got all the lights on and we've had the pump running, etc. So it's 12.2 volts. And then we're just back to the main menu. Just one thing to mention on this: a lot of other motorhomes, they'll have a water level gauge. On this, if you try and switch your water pump on, it tells you that your water level is low. That's low because we press these buttons and I've just drained the fresh water tank. So that's how you know that what your water levels are at. Also, when your wastewater's full, it'll come up on here to tell you that it's full. And then to switch the whole system off, you can just press the on off button, which is just here. Next to that, we've got the heating controls. Switch it on by pressing that button there. So this uses a central heating system with radiators that are dotted around the vehicle. So it's dead straightforward. This you switch it on there, click menu, and then you're selecting your temperature that you want the heating to be at with these buttons here. Okay, so 22 degrees is somewhat room temperature. So if you selected 22 degrees on here, it's thermostatically controlled and we'll just stay at 22 degrees. This selects your water temperature. I would just leave this on hot and mix it with the cold, so therefore you've got a lot of warm water. This is the wattage that you want the electric to run at. So 1 kilowatt, 2 kilowatt, 3 kilowatt. Now, what I said about the ampage on the sides, if you run it on 3 kilowatt, you've got your microwave running and a hairdryer, etc., etc. The chances are it's going to blow the fuse on the site. So that's the reason that it'll allow you to select those settings. Obviously, it'll run more efficiently on 3 kilowatt. And if you're plugged into mains electric, obviously then use the electric heater rather than gas, because you're not paying for that, generally speaking, because the electric will be free on site. If you want it to run on gas, you just switch that button there. You can run it on both. So if you come to the vehicle, it's really cold, you want to heat a load of water up really quickly, switch the gas on and put it on 3 kilowatt and it'll run dead efficiently then, but obviously you're burning gas, where you could just be running it on electric if you were plugged into electric on a site. So in the wardrobe is the header tank for the central heating system. So this is like your header tank that you would have at home. It's got glycol in it, so it's got the antifreeze running through it, so it won't freeze. You don't need to drain it down in winter. The level here, it will exceed the maximum level when it's switched on, because obviously it'll expand. But that's what that is. If you're wondering, if you go in the wardrobe and wonder what that is, because you'll see that gurgling around when the heating is switched on. But so that's what that is. These they're the covers for the external fridge vents that I mentioned. So they're in there. The carpets will be in here as well, but you've got your freestanding table just stored away in here. This here is the aerial, so this is where your television signal comes in from. If you unscrew that there, push that up through the roof, and you can twizzle that around to get a better signal. This here will tilt it, so it's like a delta shape on the roof. It'll tilt it that way by winding this here, winding that around. So underneath, this is the boiler here. Underneath that, there's this panel here that you have to take out in order to drain the fresh water. So this is dealing with the heating of the glycol, which I showed you, and also the fresh water. There's a drain valve for that needs emptying, because if you leave water in here and it freezes, it could expand, turn into ice, expand, and then crack the boiler. So it's difficult to see, but there's a little valve down there which is a yellow tab. So I'm just pointing to it there, and it's a little valve that'll go vertical or horizontal. So when it's in the horizontal position pointing upwards, that's open, and when it's pointing that way, it's closed. So it's really important that you drain that down. It's a little yellow tab. You can probably just make out there. You got to put your hand in and just you can see it, but it's just not very good light on the video. So that's that valve there. So onto the bathroom controls. This is one of the radiators that I was referring to that the heating system heats up. So you can see the others are hidden away underneath the seating, etc. So we've got the shower, single lever mixer shower. Again, need to switch that on when you first connect to water. Wait till you get a pure flow of water coming out of the end of your tap. This is the toilet system. So to flush it, it's that button there. When it's full, a little light will illuminate there. So to use the toilet, lift the lid, open up this valve here, which is just on the front. So that opens the valve that I showed you on the actual toilet cassette itself. So lift the lid, open up the valve, use the toilet, press the flush button, and then make sure you close this back up on the front there. So you're closing that back up, that's the one that moves, and then you're closing that valve. So if you're travelling and you've got toilet waste in here, it'll swish around. That valve stops it from spilling out into the bowl, which obviously you don't want. Okay, so onto the fridge. This is a three-way fridge. It'll run on gas, electric, and 12 volts. So the operation of this is you switch this on here by touching that button there. To select your power source, it's this button here. So you can see you can scroll through the various power supplies. So that first one there is 12 volt. So that'll only run when the engine is running. It uses the engine alternator. Next one along is gas. So it'll if you're off grid and you haven't got a main supply coming in, it will use gas. Main's electric, and then you can select auto. Now I would recommend just leave it on auto. It will automatically select the most relevant power source. So you can see there it's not found electric, so it's tried to find gas. If it can't find gas, it'll try and find 12 volt. So if you are on site and you move off and then you forget to switch your fridge onto 12 volt, it'll automatically do that for you. You can then select your temperature control. So on a really cold day, you don't want this fridge to work hard at all because it will ice up. On a really hot day, you want it to work harder so that it keeps the fridge cold. So that's the reason for this temperature control. Switch it off, it's just the same button again. So the bed on this is dead easy. These two seats draw together into the, so this one will draw together and finish there in the center. That one will do the same, draw together into the center. You drop that cushion there flat, and then the same with this one, drop that flat, and then you've got your bed sleeping this way. To swivel the chairs round, it's that little catch on the front there, so you pull that catch and then that'll allow you to swivel the seat round. Exactly the same on the driver's side. So the Motorhome Wi-Fi that we fitted for you on this model, the control box for it is just here. The way this works is that on the back here it's got a flip off cover, so you just flip that off, take out the battery, and then insert your SIM card into there. So whatever SIM card you want to use, there's a Smarty SIM card already in there. If you choose to use that, then fine, but that's how you operate the Motorhome Wi-Fi that we fitted. And then there's a box in here with the instructions, so there'll be a code in there that you need to log on to this, and then once you've got access to it, you can then become admin and you can change the password that's required for that. That little control box is on a magnetic thing there, so it just sits there. So that's your server. There's another part to the server which has just been fitted in there, but don't need to worry about that. That's just the control box for it. So that's the main part of the server. So that concludes the video. I hope that was helpful and gives you an insight on how to use the Motorhome. If you've got any further questions, just obviously drop us an email or give us a shout and we'll clarify any questions that you may have. If not, look forward to seeing you on the day you collect your new Motorhome.